Good day, everyone. My name is Eric Abanales. This is a continuation of the discussion of Miss Ragay, which is the art forms from different regions in the Philippines. So, I guess let's start. So, the first one is stone carving. It is the art of shaping hard rock into figures, reliefs, or even functional objects. In the Philippines, stone carving were not just decorations. They were often created to represent ancestors or deities. These carvings played a role in spiritual beliefs, helping ensure a loved one's spirit reached the afterlife. One example is the limestone tombs of Kamhatik in Quezon Province. Another fascinating site is the Kabayan Mummy Burial Caves in Romblon, where stone carvings might have been used in burial rituals. And lastly, stone carvings at the facade of Mialgao Church. Next is ivory carving. The arrival of ivory from mainland Asia centuries ago led to the rise of ivory carving in the Philippines. Carvers often created pieces depicting Christian figures like the Madonna and Child or the Christ Child. For instance, the Butuan ivory seal is a famous example of this art form. We also see this in the ivory carving of the Christ Child with gold paint made sometime between 1580s and 1640s. Next is the folk performing arts in the Philippines. These traditional performances are passed down through generations, showcasing the stories, beliefs, and the way of life of our ancestors. While each group has its own style, there's a common thread. Filipino folk performing arts often reflect in and influences from our history. For example, due to Spanish and American colonization, you might see elements of their culture incorporated into some dances. One popular folk dance is the Cariñosa, known for its elegant movements with a fan and a handkerchief. Another crowd favorite is the Singkil, where dancers gracefully navigate bamboo poles and mimicking the movement of wading through water. You might also encounter the banga. The banga is a theatrical performance that tells stories using a song and dance. And for more energetic performance, there's the Corazza, known for its lively steps and colorful costumes. Next is folk oral literature. It refers to stories, poems, myths, and epics that are passed down through spoken word rather than written form. These stories weren't written in books but told by storytellers and memorized by communities. These stories reflect the beliefs, tradition, and values of different ethnic groups in the Philippines. They teach lessons about right and wrong, explain natural phenomena, and even provide a foundation for social structures. Few examples are the Darangin. It tells the story of brave Maranao warriors, while the Ibalon recounts the creation of myth of the Bicol region. Next is folk graphic and plastic arts. In the 16th century, the bravest Visaya people, known as Pintados, were heavily tattooed. This practice wasn't just decoration, it held cultural significance for many ethnic groups. Tattooing wasn't limited to just one area. We see it in the Bicolanos of Camarines, the Tagalogs of Marinduque, and even among the Manubo people of Mindanao who call it Pang-Utob. But perhaps the most well known tattooed people in the Philippines today are the Igorot of the Luzon Highlands. Historically, they were tattooed before colonization. One place that still carries on these traditions is the small village of Tinggalayan in Kalinga province. Here, master tattooist Huang Od, a Kalinga matriarch, leads other traditional artists in crafting beautiful batok tattoos. Next is folk writing. The Philippines boasts a rich history of indigenous writing system called Suyat. Each ethno-linguistic community developed its own unique script with distinct styles. These scripts were used on various materials before the Spanish arrived in the 16th century, and their use continued even during the independence period. So the four Suyat scripts are the Hanuno, used by the Hanuno Mangyan people. The second one is Buhid, used by the Buhid Mangyan people. And the third one is Tagbanwa, used by the Tagbanwa people. And the last one is the Palawan or Palauan, used by the Palawan people. Unfortunately, Spanish colonization led to the decline and even extinction of many Suyat scripts. However, a movement to revive these cultural treasures has emerged. Artists and cultural experts are working hard to bring back these lost scripts. So, here are some of the scripts that are being revived. First is the Kulitan, used by the Kapampangan people. Next is Badlit, used by various Visayan ethnic groups. Next is Eniskaya, used by Iskaya people. And next is Baybayin, the most widely known script used by the Tagalog people. And next one is Sambale, used by the Sambal people. And next is Basahan, used by the Bicolano people. And the last one, Sulat Mangasinan, used by the Panganis people. And the last one is Kuritan, used by the Ilocano people. Next is drawing and painting. Folk drawing and painting are art forms that depict the stories, traditions, and everyday life of our people. These artworks have been around for thousands of years, with evidence suggesting people even painted a pottery back then. Folk artists use a variety of natural materials for their pigments. This can include gold, yellow, red, purple, green, white, blue-green, and blue. They paint not just on flat surfaces, but also on statues and other creations, showcasing the artistic spirit across different ethnic groups. Examples of folk arts are, we can see this in places like petroglyphs in Angono Rizal. These are ancient carvings on rocks which can be considered early forms of drawing. Next is the petroglyph in Alabuntok. Another example of petroglyphs showcasing their artistic expression of the Ibugao people. Next is petroglyphs recently found in Monreal, Ticao. These are similar to petroglyphs, but instead of being carved, they are painted on the rock surface. Next is the petroglyphs in Andabohol. More examples of painted rock demonstrating the diversity of styles across the Philippines. Next is hat making. Hat making has a long tradition in many communities across the country. It's more than just crafting headwear, it's a form of artistry passed down through generations. One of the most prized Filipino hats is the tabungao. This unique hat comes from Abra and Ilocos and is made from gourds. In the past, indigenous Filipino hats were a common part of everyday life. People wore them for protection from the sun, rain, and even for style. Unfortunately, around the 20th century, the popularity of Western style hats rose. This led to a decline in the use of traditional Filipino hats. Despite these shifts, there are still some amazing examples of Filipino hats to discover. The first one is the salakot. This hat is often made from straw or palm leaves and is made a wide brim to protect people from the sun. Next is the sandok. This hat is worn by the Bandaya people and it's known for its distinctive boat shape. The last one is the tortoise shell salakot. As the name suggests, this hat was traditionally made from tortoise shell, but nowadays other materials are used due to conservation efforts. Next is mask making. It's a fascinating mix of tradition. Some communities made masks long before colonization, while others adapted styles through trade. Today, these beautiful masks are worn in festivals like Gigantes, Moriones, and Mascara festivals. These materials used vary from wood for spiritual figures, gold, especially in Visayas, for the deceased, and even bamboo and paper for farming family depictions. Masks also play a role in theater, particularly affects based on Ramayana and Mahabharata. Next is pot making. This art form has a long and rich history in the Philippines, with evidence dating back an incredible 3,500 years. Pottery played a vital role in various cultures throughout the archipelago. One of the most famous pieces of Philippine pottery is the Manunggal jar. This incredible jar is created between 1890 and 710 BCE. It features intricate design and a lid shaped like a boat with people on it. Archaeologists believe it might represent a journey to the afterlife. Another interesting example is the Maitom anthropomorphic pottery dating back to 5 BCE to 225 AD. These are fascinating pottery pieces shaped like human figures. Anthropomorphic means having human forms. Next is non-ornamental crafts. Non-ornamental metal crafts are metal objects that get their beauty from the simplicity of the metal itself. They don't need fancy add-ons or decorations because the shape, design, and the way the metal is worked are what make them special. A great example of non-ornamental metal craft is the bongkaka. It is a traditional Philippine bells. They are made of bronze and their shape is quite simple, usually a round or oval body with a curved handle. But the sound they make is absolutely incredible. The way the metal is rich, the way the metal is cast and shaped creates a rich, deep sound that's truly unique. Next is blade arts. In the Philippines, swords are not just for fighting. Many were designed for special ceremonies or even farming tasks. But there were also some truly impressive blades meant for warriors. Sword making has been a big part of Filipino culture for hundreds of years. Filipino bladesmiths have a long tradition of crafting high quality swords and other bladed weapons. Some of the most well known swords are the Kampilan. So this is a big single-edged sword known for its wide blade. Next is the Bakunawa. This sword gets its name from the mythical serpent creature, the Bakunawa. It has a heavy blade that's said to resemble the creature's body. Next is the Buaya. It is inspired by the fearsome crocodile. This sword has a thick, heavy blade designed for powerful attacks. Next is the Kalao. This sword has a distinctive big shape, hilt resembling the hornbill, a revered bird in the Philippines. Next is Kakatua or Kakatu. This smaller sword is named after the Kakatu bird, known for its agility. It's known for its quick movements and lightweight design. So these are the examples of Filipino bladed weapons. So finally, the last one, arnis. The Philippines is a beautiful country with many different culture. Because of this, Filipino martial arts vary depending on the region. Each ethnic group has developed its own way of fighting using weapons they had available. The most famous Filipino martial art is arnis, also called kali or eskrima. It's even the national sport of the Philippines. Arnis emphasizes fighting with sticks, knives, and other weapons, but skilled Arnis players can also defend themselves without weapons, using an open hand techniques. Did you know that artist has different names depending on where it's from? Here are some few examples. So the first one is the Ibanags, call it Pakalit. Ilocanos call it Didya or Kabaruan. And the Pangasinesis people call it Sibatan or Kalinguran. Kalirungan. As we have seen, Philippine art is a journey through the country's soul. It reflects the diverse culture, the rich history, and the enduring spirit of the Filipino people. It's a reminder that art is a universal language connecting us from across the region and generations.